Not much time left in the baseball season, which means not many more chances to improve your fantasy team for the stretch run. Maybe you're already in the thick of a playoffs, or you're just looking to finish strong in a roto league. Either way, these are the names to grab right now while you can. And if you dropped Lane Thomas a couple of weeks ago because he was just killing your team, I don't blame you, but you're probably kicking yourself right now if you couldn't pick him back up. Because now, of course, naturally, he's the hottest hitter in the majors. He was dropped in a lot of places. He's now available in over a third of Yahoo leagues and more than half of ESPN fantasy leagues. It's really amazing how dramatic the shift has been. As soon as he went to Cleveland in that trade, which again, they really thought would boost this offense. I mean, he was as bad as possible. Hit 143 for the month of August with 0 home runs in the 77 at bats. Not even 2 weeks into September, he's already got 3 home runs, 14 RBIs, and he's hitting 390. I mean, talk about an adjustment period. He needed it, he got it, and now he's back and honestly better than ever. I mean, I don't know how long he can keep this up, but obviously, a guy hitting at the top of the Cleveland order, got power, got speed still too, and the average, you've got to pick him up if he's out there. There's no questions asked. If not, how about help with an outfielder slash infielder? Tommy Edman all of a sudden is a power hitter. That's right, back-to-back 2 home run games. This is a guy who's really known for his speed. He's got a little bit of pop, but where did this power surge come from? Well, I mean, I guess he's fresh because he sat out almost all the season up until August. And then, of course, he was moved before the deadline as well to the Dodgers. Look, good situation. A guy who can hit for average, has that speed. And it's nice that he can slot in at second base, shortstop, and outfield. But power too? I mean, come on. And it's 3 straight 2-hit games for him. Look, since being activated with the Dodgers, hitting 300 now in just 84 at-bats. He's occupying prime real estate in that Dodgers lineup, hitting 5th a lot of days. Again, this is the type of player you can slot in multiple positions, and he offers you a little bit of everything. And he's still out there in almost half of fantasy leagues. I know some highly competitive leagues, maybe shorter benches. He won't be, but you've got to at least take a look and see if he's there. And then I have to circle back to some players who still are just way too widely available in fantasy leagues. I've talked, I think, a couple of times now about Victor Robles, and I understand a little hesitant to go all in on him. I talked about this a while back. He's just been one of the worst hitters in baseball, flat out, according to expected stats and the actual stats for the last couple of years. And of course, Washington finally let him go. He seems to enjoy Seattle because now he's got his batting average right around 300. And of course, he's stealing bases. I think part of it is people just don't want to even look at that Seattle offense because we know that's what's betraying them, having the best pitching staff in the game and having pretty much the worst offense. Technically, not the worst because the White Sox still exist, but one of the worst offenses in the majors. But Robles is the leadoff hitter there. Again, 24 steals in just barely over 200 at-bats this year. Again, he's hitting about 300, and he's scoring runs, even driving in some runs. So I understand also that he has missed a couple of games, in the IL, missed a stretch, and then again, just recently this past week, missed 3 straight games with some elbow issue. But then he came back and went 3 for 4. He's just been hitting every single day that he's in that Seattle lineup. So just pick him up and don't worry about it. And apparently some people are not fully bought into Parker Meadows. Again, discussed him before. He's pretty much just continued what he's done in the second half. Sure, if you look at the season-long stats, you're not too impressed because his average is 232, which exactly matches last year's batting average. Let's forget all that. Let's look at the here and now. Since he got recalled to the majors in the second half, he's hitting 300. That 299 to be exact, but you get the idea. And this past week, he's been an RBI machine, 12 RBIs just in the past few days. Also a player who give you some help in home runs, some help in steals. Tigers, sure, not an exciting offense. You're not going to find guys on teams like the Yankees, the Phillies. Yeah, those players aren't widely available. It's the ones on these teams I'm talking about, like the Tigers, that are going to be available. So Parker Meadows has been productive for weeks now. If you need help, really, in the outfield, utility spot, maybe I would prefer Lane Thomas, of course, Tommy Edman, those guys, but you should be able to find Parker Meadows. All right, but there is a player in the Yankees that is still available in some leagues, We all know the Martian, Jason Dominguez. We're waiting for him to possibly get the call, and it has happened. But if a guy with his type of fanfare doesn't produce right away, people will quickly toss him aside. He's got a couple of games under his belt since getting called up again. Hasn't done a whole lot, a single here, double there, but the home runs haven't come yet. Let's give him some time. This guy's season has been cut short a lot by injuries, and he's still getting his feet back under him and at the major league level. But it's nice to see the Yankees finally did the right thing. Alex Verdugo does not need to be out there every day. So Dominguez right now is manning left field and usually batting seventh. The power will come. I mean, we saw it. He handled major league pitching last year when he was called up in September. Think he can do it again. There's a chance he's still floating out there in some leagues if people are real hesitant to buy in or just want to stick with what they got at this stage of the season. The upside is too much to just ignore here, though. Speaking of upside, let's look at the latest phenom rookie pitcher to make his debut. Talked about him on Beat the Breakout just a couple days before he was called up, and that is Kumar Rocker of the Texas Rangers. He made his debut against that Mariners lineup, and it was solid, if short. Only went 4 innings, but in those 4 innings, only gave up 1 run on 3 hits, and he struck out 7 batters. I like to think that he will go a little bit longer his next time out, at least 5 innings, let's hope. I mean, like the Rangers have nothing to play for at this point, so they're playing it smart. And I know we want to try to at least extract a win, maybe a quality start from him, but strikeouts are there, could help your ratios. I wouldn't recommend throwing him into your rotation if you really are in the thick of a playoff game, like a weekly head to head league where you've got to win. Maybe not, but a roto league where you want to just get a little bit caught up in strikeouts, you need some depth here. Take a look at Rocker. I think even in just your regular non-keeper dynasty leagues, he could have some value down the stretch. Now, if you want a veteran starting pitcher that you can feel a little more secure about, go to Baltimore. Dean Kramer has been on fire lately. Also, guy, if you look at the season-long stats, nothing special. But let's look at what he's done recently. This isn't strictly a second half split kind of thing, but somewhere around the middle of August, he just turned it on. He's got a quality start in 5 of his last 6 starts. And in that 6 game stretch, a 2.62 ERA, 32 Ks in 34 innings, and he's gone 3-0. This is a pitcher who's had stretches of success but keeps getting disrupted by injuries. In fact, just this year, had a tricep strain, kept him on the shelf for a short time. Last year was an oblique strain. So a lot of tough luck for him, but just needs to make it a couple more weeks. Again, with this role that he has been on lately, I think you've got to buy into him, stick him in the back end of your rotation. Again, the strikeout numbers aren't gaudy. The ERA isn't minuscule, but just a very solid presence can help your ratios. And of course, being in Baltimore can help you get some wins. Now, trust is a very strong word to use with a guy like Reed Detmers of the Angels. But let's take a look at what he's done in the last 2 starts since getting recalled. Now, I first have to remind you the trust is going to take a long time to build back up because this guy really had high hopes for not only this year, but last year. In the first half of this season, his ERA ballooned up to 6.14 before he was finally mercifully demoted. All right. Is he a changed guy now? It looks like it. In the past 2 starts, he's been lights out. 6 innings each time, got a quality start each time. 18 strikeouts in 12 innings. I mean, talent has never been a question here. This is a former top 10 draft pick, guy who's great in college. He really should be like a number 2, 3 type starter in the majors. And for a team like the Angels, he could even be their number 1 guy. But man, this consistency has not been there. I don't know if he'll find it in his last couple of starts for the rest of this season, but man, you have to at least sort of be interested with what he's done lately. Another very talented prospect who is a rookie, Rhett Lauder of the Reds, recently got called up. He's now got 3 starts under his belt, and I mean, you can't ask for much more. A 0.59 ERA. Not going too deep into games, usually about 5 innings a pop. So hopefully he gets stretched out a little bit longer. Also, the strikeout numbers, not that great, 12 Ks in 15 innings, but that'll do. I mean, if the ERA is that low. If you're in a league where quality starts are a stat as opposed to wins, Probably hard to recommend him because, again, this is one of their top pitching prospects. You don't feel like they're really going to leave him out hanging to dry very often. And I don't know about wins either, in fact, being with the Reds, but hey, he's been effective. If you need some help in terms of your ratios, looks like Louder is the real deal, at least. And yes, even at this stage of the season, we have a potential new closer, although I don't know if we can officially anoint Jesus Tinoco as a closer just because he did technically just get his first save of the season. But who else are the Marlins going to roll out there? So Calvin Foucher, who was the guy, just hit the injured list, and Tinoco was the first one to get a save. So it looks like it's him, and I guess he deserves it because really he's been good since getting with the Marlins. I say this time because this is really the personification of a journeyman reliever. He's 29 years old, and over the last few years in the major leagues, he's been with the Rockies, Marlins, Rockies again, Rangers, Cubs, and then back with the Marlins. Three of those all within this season. I mean, as a setup guy, middle reliever, he's been fine. Got a career ERA of 3.74, although a 12.2% walk rate is not so fine. But overall, nothing bad, nothing great. Well, he's been great since coming back to Miami for whatever reason. The Cubs let him go. Miami took him because why not? They just need healthy arms. And in 16 games since rejoining the Marlins this year, a 1.33 ERA and 0.54 whip. I'm not sure where this is coming from or if it's sustainable, but hey, again, if he can get you just a couple of saves the last couple of weeks, he could give you something. I will also just kind of throw out there, in Colorado, Victor Vodnik had been the closer and he was just activated on the IL, but even in his first game back, he was used in the middle innings, and Tyler Kinley still nailed down the save. He's got, I think, 12 now in the season. So Kinley is technically still an option there, but I can't go so far as to really recommend him because who knows? If you've gotten this far in the season and you're still in it to win it, you just got to keep doing what you've been doing, stay on top of things, keep checking the box scores, check the waiver wire, and be active. And of course, keep checking out this waiver wire segment. Be here until the season is over, not too long from now. But again, if you're also a multi sport fantasy athlete and you're playing fantasy football and you're into that, you've got to check out our other channel that is the Fantasy Football Endgame. You can subscribe right here.